What's going on, guys? Kevin here to bring you a brand new video today, where today we are kicking off Horror October with day 0. That's right, day 0 of Horror October. We'll be starting off with a series. I actually wanted to watch this series last October, but I couldn't because it's unrealistic to think that you can watch an entire TV series in one day. That's very hard to do. So I was like, you know what I could do this time around is I can watch it ahead of time and then review it at the start of a Horror October, which is what I'm doing here. And the show that I'm reviewing is The Haunting of Bly Manor. Now, I actually only had 2 days to watch this. So it wasn't exactly that different from just watching it all in one night, but I had 2 nights. It was pretty painful because, yeah, I basically devoted 9 hours of my time for the past 2 nights watching this um, average show. I would call it average. It was alright. I feel like this show is like a tale of two halves. So, like, the first half really didn't do anything for me at all. And then it, like, started improving a lot, I found. So, like, um, The Haunting of Bly Manor is kind of like a follow up to The Haunting of Hill House, which I did review on here. I didn't like that one that much, and this one's also not that great either. So, starting off our review, first of all, the thing about this that's just absolutely ridiculous right from the start is that there's this freaking storyteller who's like telling this entire story about this house for 9 episodes. Like, that's not how storytelling works. You don't say, I'm going to tell you a story and then talk for 9 hours or 8.5 hours or however long, like, the series takes. Like, it doesn't make sense. She's like, I've got a story to tell you. And then they're like, oh, well, we got plenty of wine to hold us over. We can take it. I'm like, really? So, like, right from the get-go, I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Really? Come on. But, like, so we'll just go through, like, all the episodes, though. So, like, at the start, there's a lot of, like, building up to try to, like, understand everything in this world. And, like, this is where, like, it loses me a lot, is, like, it tries to, like, employ some, like, horror beats that just aren't horror at all. Like, they try to, like, make things seem scary that aren't really scary at all. And just use, like, a lot of, like, horror cliches of, like, people popping up in random places and just, like, stupid little things like that. Whereas it could have just, like, embraced the fact that it wasn't trying to be scary for those first 4 episodes, because it wasn't at all. There was absolutely nothing scary happening for those first 4 episodes, but it tried to act like there was some sort of, like, tension or something weird going on, when really it was just like a normal living situation for a while. And the story itself wasn't all that, like, engaging, I guess. They're trying to show you, like, all this, like, deep stuff, and, like, it just doesn't, like, you don't, like, feel for it that much. I'm just like, do I really care about this that much? Like, why do you want me to care about this? So, like, you have, like, this guy, for instance, who loses his mom to dementia and has to, like, leave the house, because he was taking care of them before, but he has to leave the house because his mother died. So it's like, I mean, like, that's sad and all, but why am I supposed to care about that? Like, I don't get where this comes from, or why it's, like, important. and it's supposed to be like about like forgetting the past and not living in the past, which becomes like a theme here. And you also have this girl who comes to live with a family at Bly Manor, this Victoria Pedretti girl, who I will say this is really dumb. The fact that she's in this, and I know the only reason why she's the main character in this is because she got short shrifted in the Haunting of Hill House because her character died early. So I'm 1,000% sure that the creator of this show, just Mike Flanagan, was just like, oh man, she didn't get as much screen time that last series. She had to be killed off. Let's give her a proper season. Like, yeah, yeah. But her story is kind of interesting, I suppose, but even that I wasn't super into. So like she has like a whole like history with like her ex-boyfriend, and then also like finding out that she likes this girl at the house, and they kind of like develop a relationship over time, which I do appreciate. But even that, like, I was just like, how does this like fit into that? Like, I'm not sure like how well this fits as a whole. Like, yeah, it's a cool story, I guess, but like as far as like going into the whole big picture, I'm just like, eh. But yeah, it starts to get, I guess, a little engaging during those times when you're like seeing how her story, what her backstory is and stuff. But a lot of the other like stuff, I'm just like, it just wasn't like doing it for me at all. But then episode 5 happened, and it started to get a little bit more interesting, especially towards the end of episode 5, because episode 5 was kind of like a teetering point where, like, I didn't really like that episode either. But towards the end of that episode, they started, like, showing some of the actual, like, bad things that happen in this house, and what's been going on with these people. So we see this guy Peter get killed, and you're like, oh, okay, so this is what happens to these people. They get killed by this lady in the lake, who I did find really interesting. I thought her character was cool, apart from other things that tried to be scary. So yeah, she takes the life of Peter Quint, and he becomes a ghost. This is where it gets kind of intriguing to see, because throughout the rest of the season, we see this whole concept of the dead living within a house, basically, and being able to still like stick around, and also being able to like what they call dream hop, or like being tucked away, so they'll like be reliving um, memories from certain times over and over again, which I thought was kind of interesting because, I mean, I guess it's a little like Lynchian. You could draw a little bit of similarities to that, but like it's still pretty cool because like you have to think about the fact that they're basically like conscious within a certain time period, but like they're there. So like this doesn't. It's interesting to think about because like this doesn't affect time. It's just they're just seeing from a different perspective from the past. It doesn't change the present at all. It's just they're just seeing something um, from their current point of view in the present. And then you have this whole like being dead thing where it's like, they people who are dead in that house can interact with others, um, and try to get them to like cross over, and they become like one with the house. Now, the big glaring problem with this is that hey, American Horror Story Murder House called, it wants its story back. Like, it's literally um, like a copycat version of that. Like, for some aspects. Like, and American Horror Story has done this numerous times with Murder House, with Hotel, with 1984. I don't know about other seasons, but it definitely used this concept of, like people being dead, but like not actually dead. Um, so like you see this whole thing of like, you know, people trying to bring them over to the other side. Like, there's this whole thing with Peter Quint because he got killed by the lady in the mirror, or the lady in the lake. So like he wanted this girl Rebecca to cross over because I don't get why he calls her Bex in that, but like he he wants her to like cross over, so he gets her to cross over to die. So it's like, yeah. So there's like some cool stuff there with that. And we see this like whole story unfold with this cool concept, but which I think was a big improvement from earlier on. I think what could have been done to make this better was that maybe they could have like introduced this whole like concept of dream hopping, or being dead when you're, even though you don't look like it. Like they could have like employed this stuff early on, I feel like, and just made it like more like a core part of the story rather than just like wait until later and just show you all this like not cool stuff at all early on. Um, that was the other thing too. Like they tried to like make it scary with like this guy with like glasses. Like that's like a Sin City ripoff. Like get out of here with that shit. Like she like looks in the mirror and she sees this like dark figure with glasses, and it's like her boyfriend from like years ago because he got hit with like a car when he got out when she broke up with him. Is like, what? Like, okay. So there's like this whole weird backstory with that, but it's just like, oh, I don't know about this, man. I'm like, episode 6 and 7 are a lot better, and then episode 8 is like this whole backstory about the first person who like died in this house and how they kind of started this whole thing of becoming the lady in the water and starting this killing of different people. I guess like some aspects of it were good to learn about, but a lot of the other like history that we get is just like stuff that I like don't care about really. And then like episode 9 is like this, supposed to be like this like exciting conclusion. The little girl almost dies, and um, so does the little boy Miles, who is such a brat in this series. I hate this kid, dude. He's so annoying. Like he's actually so annoying. I get why they made the character that way, but he's so annoying. I can't stand that. But anyways, yeah, they have to like stop the lady in the water somehow. And this girl Danny, the main character, Victoria Pedretti, she does it by saying it's me, it's you, it's us. And I guess that just like magically makes her like absorb the lady in the water inside her. So like this whole thing is used where it's like if can like transfer you can like transfer your mind through someone and basically like have them live in your mind. Um, Same thing with like earlier on with the little girl and the little boy, Flora and Miles. They try to like cross over by like essentially like saying these words and trying to like live in them. It's a little murky with that whole thing. I don't think they're that good at like making all that make sense to me. But anyways, yeah, Danny comes in and saves the little girl at the last second, and you have this like um, this whole like miserable uncle Henry who finally comes in at the very last second, like ex machina Henry, like coming in saving the day, like yeah, and then he yeah, and like Henry's stuff was actually kind of cool because he had like an alter ego who would like talk to him, and like basically get in his head and say like messed up things to him. So I think that was kind of interesting actually. But yeah, like the story just like ends in this like kind of like dragged on way. You feel like it could have ended sooner because it's just like, they left the house and then there's all this like story after about like how this girl Danny lives on with her girlfriend Jamie, and yeah, it's I mean, I guess it was kind of interesting to see like how how their lives would go on from there, and to know that they would all mostly be okay. The story ends in a rather sad way actually, and I really thought it would be like a cookie cutter ending, but it really wasn't. It was like this whole thing where Danny left Jamie because she kept like seeing the lady within her, and she felt like she had to go back to like be with her, I guess. So she goes back to Bly Manor and drowns herself, like basically where it all started for the lady in the water. So it's like she had to like be there with her, I guess. So like yeah, not the traditional ending. A little sad. The show tries to like get you all riled up, make you all emotional, and get you all attached for this show, towards the end with this like emotional conclusion where like the story goes back to the storyteller, and it's like she's at a, I guess like a rehearsal, or like this person's about to get married and she's the one like telling this story to this like soon to be married person, and it's just like um yeah, they play it up like, yeah, this is like really sad. This is like a love story, which it was, but it was okay, I guess. Because I mean, like overall, you have this like whole love story between Danny and Jamie, which was kind of good to see unfold, but like also a lot of the horror stuff in here isn't that great. There's a redundant concept that's used of people being dead in the house. Um, but I guess I had fun. The first four episodes are just painful. I wouldn't recommend this series unless you're willing to just like sit through those four episodes first. So yeah. Um, okay. I thought this series was all right. Mike Flanagan seems to have this either average or above average track record with his movies and shows, and this was pretty average, I will say. So yeah, I'm going to rate this a 6.5 out of 10. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.